Welcome to Leading Your Culture with Bill Nye. This episode is brought to you by Multifamily Media Network, delivering the latest news, ideas, and inspiration across the multifamily sector. Now let's go ahead and jump into the next episode of Leading Your Culture with Bill Nye. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I'm your host, Bill Nye, and this is my podcast, Leading Your Culture with Bill Nye. I have a special guest today that I'm excited for you to meet. We're going to call her the bite-sized boss. And when you hear her speak, you'll know immediately that she was born and raised in the great state of West Virginia. She has a very strong West Virginia accent. Of course, I'm kidding. You're going to know that is not a West Virginia accent, but rather an Irish brogue. We're excited to have Paula Short with us today. So, Paula, welcome to the podcast and welcome to the United States of America.
Thank you, and thank you. It's very nice to be on your podcast, and it's absolutely fantastic to be in the USA. I am overwhelmed with the size of this place. Compared to Ireland, it's rather large.
Yeah, the United States, of course, is a very large country and a lot to see. How long have you been in America now?
So I got here at the beginning of November, so I'm very new. I'm very green behind the ears as to your ways and even the language. I'm struggling with words, but I'm getting there. I'm definitely getting there.
So you and your husband are living in the Virginia Beach area. From what I understand in our conversation, you came to America because your husband took a job with NATO. So that's why you're in Virginia Beach and living in the United States, correct?
We've been married a long time, and I think we got a little bit bored, and my husband got offered an opportunity to come here, and we were supposed to retire, actually. If I'm being honest, we were supposed to retire in March time, and he got offered this opportunity, and he said, I've got a great idea. Let's just pack up our house, just me and you, leave everything behind. We have 3 kids and a dog, and let's go and restart our entire life again in America. And it didn't actually take me long to say yes, because I like adventure. I like seeing, and what an opportunity to see your country. It's fantastic. I love it. So yeah, I'm living in Virginia Beach. The people are lovely. They've been super friendly to me. I am slowly finding my way around, and I apologize to all the other motorists on the road if they've passed me, because they'd be like, yeah, there's a tourist. So yeah, I'm trying my best to fit in.
And we drive on the wrong side of the road over here, so that's a big adjustment.
Well, I've been told it's me that drives on the wrong side of the road, so
Yes.
We can debate that another time, I'm sure.
Yes. Yeah, I was somewhat being sarcastic with that. So look, I get leaving the kids behind. I don't get leaving the dog behind. I don't know that I could make that decision. The kids, that's the easy part. The dog, that's got to be the tough part.
It's like leaving a baby. She's 12 years old. Her name is Rosie. She has 3 toes on 1 foot. She has, I think, only about 6 teeth left in her head. She's quite grumpy, and she decides what she does when she wants. And she is the love of my life, I have to say. Don't tell my husband, but she is the love of my life. So yes, leaving her was very hard. The children, great. We can go and see them and they can fly to see us. But her, no, that did hurt a bit. But hey, I find myself, every time I see people walking a dog, I find myself stopping and talking and, excuse me, can I pet that dog, please? And yeah, I feel the need.
So I wanted to familiarize our audience with how you and I connected, because, here you're from Ireland, but had been living for many years in England, and then you end up in Virginia Beach. Of course, I live in Texas. We don't work in the same industry. So how do these 2 people actually connect? Well, I think that's kind of a cool story. So one of my longtime friends, and if you were to ask him, he would tell you that he considers me to be his mentor. I'm not saying that to promote myself. He would be the first to tell you he sees me as his mentor. And so he's the vice president of a property management company there in the Virginia Beach area, Signature Management. And you rented, as you would call it, a flat, as we would call it, an apartment. You rented an apartment or a flat from their company. And somehow you happened to meet Matt, I'm guessing there at the office at the property where you live. Is that correct?
Yeah, he's such a nice guy. Again, I don't know many people. I'm quite outgoing and friendly. So I say hi to people. And in our culture at home, and again, I've noticed it here, every time we pass people, we say, morning, hello, hello, good morning. And so me and Matt just said, hello, good morning. And then he picked up on my accent and we started the conversation about, what on earth are you doing here? And it just flowed. He's such a nice guy. And he had so many nice things to say about you. So much so I thought, yeah, I'm never going to hear from Bill Knight because he'll be too busy. And he had said so many things about you and about how successful and how great you are at your career. And I thought, oh, that's really kind that he said he'd hook us up. But I thought that's never going to happen. And I was blown away by receiving a message from you saying, hey, hi, yeah, I'm happy to, have a chat. Because it is, I'm not going to say, oh, woe is me. My decisions are all my decisions, but I literally have stopped everything. All my contacts, all my friends, my home, my house. I've changed everything and moved halfway across the world. Over the years of marriage and kids and raising, you end up with a garage full of tenting gear and tennis rackets and everything, bicycles and shin pads. And now I live in a 2-bed apartment, flat as I call it, and it's like skeleton furniture and just very basic. And it's kind of like a full circle to when you first start out in life. And I actually am really excited because there's so many opportunities. It's frightening. I'll be brutally honest. It's scary. And sometimes lonely because you miss your friends and you miss your family and the dog and your routine. But I'm so excited for just everything that's here and the opportunities that I am yet to find. But yeah, Matt has definitely helped me and been a really friendly guy. And yeah, I enjoy bumping into him and having a chat.
So he didn't just treat you as just another renter. He treated you like, someone of great importance and value, which I think is really important in business. And my understanding, when you first met Matt, you had no idea he was the vice president of the company. In fact, from my understanding, and maybe this is not accurate, he was a little reluctant to share with you that he was the vice president of the company.
Yeah, I had no idea. I had no idea at all. He's just a nice guy. And I think he's successful. He's an intelligent, successful guy. And I think when somebody is happy within themselves and successful, they don't really need to, beat their chest about it or tell people about it, because he's a confident man and he's very, very able. He's very successful. So he didn't tell me. He didn't tell me. I didn't know who he was. He was just a really nice guy. He just, stood and chatted and like that. Some people won't speak to you, but he was just a really amicable guy and very friendly.
But I think that's a great characteristic and an important characteristic in leadership is to be authentic, to be humble, to be approachable. And Matt is certainly all those things. So you said something about leaving everything behind. For you, that included a career. So my understanding is that you had a thriving business. You were working in the hair and beauty business, and then you started a makeup line, right? So you had this business, the hair and beauty business. You started the makeup line, and you left all that behind to move to the States with your husband.
I've had a couple of businesses. We had a hair and beauty salon right in the heart of the centre of the UK in a beautiful old town called Lincoln, in the centre of Lincolnshire, and very successful. We've had it for years and years, my business partner and I. We not only had that, but we also created a cosmetics company some years back. It was a lovely marketing tool that we did where we created a product just to get footfall within our salon. And then this product actually became a very worldwide selling product. So yes, I created a business. I created a couple of businesses, and I had to say to my business partner, I've got a surprise. I'm thinking about leaving the country. I beg your pardon, she said. I'm sorry. And I said, yeah, I'm afraid it's all on you now. I'm going to have to leave. But I relish the challenge of coming. I do I do love building business. That is my adrenaline. That is my thing, building business. And my cosmetic side took every waking breath and thought in my body for years and years and years. And I think that's why with the team, it became so successful. But now, having sold my business, I sold my business in February 2020. And I just worked on the hair and beauty side of it again, and doing speaking engagements and business consultancy. But now coming here and starting all over again, honestly, I wasn't really even sure where to start, because it's a completely different playing field. I don't understand the players. I don't know any players. So it's definitely a new challenge.
So this podcast is part of a network. It's a multifamily media network, and a lot of people who tune in and watch my podcast along with the other podcasts on this network. A lot of these people are involved in businesses that have nothing to do with your business. But I always say that business is business and leadership is leadership, and it doesn't matter if it's cosmetic line, hair and beauty, if you're running a plumbing company, if you're running a heating and air conditioning company, you're a multifamily developer or owner operator. There's a lot of lessons that can be learned that can be shared from one business to another. And there's a lot of people out there that are running businesses, are thinking about starting their own business. What's something that really surprised you the most when you went off on your own and started running your own business? What's something that surprised you that you weren't prepared for?
I think asking for help. So I was brought up in business from a very young age. I was brought up in a pub, in a bar on the west coast of Ireland, which, as you can imagine, was a very, very colourful upbringing. And we had a restaurant, and we had various other businesses as well. So to me, business was natural, but it was within a family. So everything just evolved, and it was a wheel, and it was a cog, and it just kept moving. The machine kept moving. I think when I set up business on my own in England, I didn't really know how to ask for help. And maybe I just wanted to prove that I could do things on my own for myself without anyone's help. If I could go back and have words with myself again, I would reach out to people that I know could help me, or at least guide me, or mentor me to be in the right way, or to aim for the right things. I know now that I'm older, I happily give my time to help other business, happily. And I love to see things evolve quicker for that business because of a little nugget of information that I may give them. We presume as well, as we get older and we've learned hard lessons along the way, we presume everybody knows those lessons. And we presume that everybody can find that information on the internet. So maybe we shouldn't get involved or help. But I think if I was younger, I would definitely say, ask other people for advice, ask other people for mentoring, because people happily and readily give it.
I really appreciate that, because I think about, through the years, I've been asked to consult for a number of organizations. And I've always wondered why, if you're hiring a consultant and the consultant is giving recommendations, I can't tell you how many times they just wouldn't follow the recommendations. And I think that's a struggle for a lot of people. They don't like accepting other. Maybe it's because I have my own vision and I want to build this in my kind of, in my own image, if you will. But I think that's really good advice. Just nobody has all the answers. And, I've led a number of teams, and I've always, in meetings, I've always shared with the team that I'm leading at that time, I don't have all the answers, and no one in this room does. But collectively, if we're all together, I bet we can come up with all the answers. And just working together as a team and asking for help. That's really good advice. I appreciate you sharing that. And I'm sure a lot of people are like, yeah, I need to be better about taking advice or asking for help from other people, because nobody, no man is an island, as the cliche goes. Everybody needs help, right?
Definitely. And I think sometimes as well, you know the answer, and you maybe have been given the answer from somebody who has lived it. But until you live something and it hurts, or you have a pain point, you understand it far, far quicker. So sometimes making a mistake is actually the quickest way to learn, because you won't do it twice. you will not do it twice. So me making a mistake and telling you about it is never really the same as you making a mistake yourself. But yeah, if I could go back, I'd say to myself, just listen, take advice and listen, and then you won't make the mistake. But I was young. What can I say?
So, so we're going to talk about, mistakes in a minute, but, asking for help doesn't mean that you're not talented. Asking for help doesn't mean that you're not smart. I think that's great advice that all of us can follow is, be more open to asking for help. And, sometimes you're right. I think we have to get punched in the nose before we really get the message. But I don't think you should always have to get punched in the nose before you realize this is probably the wrong thing. I think back on my speaking career, a couple of times where I tried to use humor that fell flat. I'm like, stay away from that. I think sometimes you have to learn from your own mistakes. But, speaking of which, what's something that really jumps out? Like, boy, if, this is something I learned. This was a big mistake. And in running the business or starting the business, my advice to other people would be what?
Definitely culture. You know your audience, know your customer, because you can't presume. You can't presume that what you're creating or what you're doing is the same everywhere. You are nothing without your customer. You're absolutely nothing without your customer. You can create the best product in the world, but if it's the product the customer doesn't want, then it's just a product. So definitely you have to know your customer and know your audience, who you're speaking to, that you actually resonate. Otherwise, if you're doing a talk and you're talking about something that doesn't resonate, you're talking at somebody and you're just like throwing words at them, and what's the point of that? You're wasting your time, their time, and time is precious. I'm a great believer. Time is precious. Use it wisely. So yeah, I think you should definitely know your audience, your customer, your area, which again, I'm learning here because there's more differences than I actually anticipated by moving here.
Yeah, some of it's just a matter of semantics, right? Like you call an apartment a flat, we call it an apartment. So some of it is just learning some of that. I remember years ago, I was in Toronto, Canada, speaking with a group, and one of the other speakers was talking about doing big events around really important holidays. And she said, like the 4th of July. And the audience just kind of looked at her. And so she said it again, and the audience just, you could tell that. And so when she came off the stage, we were talking later. I said, hey, that 4th of July thing? She's like, yeah. It's like nobody understood what I was talking about. I said, I mean, they know, but the 4th of July is an American holiday. The 4th of July just means July 4th to Canadians. It's not their Independence Day. That's Independence Day in the United States. And so, she wasn't speaking the right, the right language. So I'm curious, the U.S. Department of Labor says that something like 80% of all businesses fail in the first 2 years. How long, and after you started your business over in England, how long before you felt, or maybe you never did, but I hope you did, how long before you felt like, okay, we've got a foothold now, we're going to be okay, we're going to make it?
If I'm being brutally honest, I never had a plan. I just enjoy building business. When I have a challenge and it's something I want to do, I grab it and I just run with it, and I adore every aspect of it and just making things better and better and better. But it wasn't until a year in, when we created the cosmetic company, which grew far bigger than our other business, we had been working on it one day a week, just as a side thing. As I say, it was a marketing tool. That's all we wanted, to create a product that nobody else had, so that when they come to our salon or any of the beauty areas, that we'd say, oh, we've got this product, but while you're here today, we can get you in for a haircut or color. And it was just an upselling tool. That's all it was. And we'd worked on it one day a week. And our accountant rang us after about, I'd say maybe 9 months. And they said, oh, guys, we think we need to separate this from the other business and turn it into its own limited company or an LLP, and we were like, I'm sorry, what? And we were having so much fun building it and going to some of the most amazing events all over London with celebrities and being invited to huge podcasts and TVs and everything like that. We didn't even look at the success because we were enjoying it so much. I'm not saying we're stupid and that we didn't know. We knew we were doing well, but we
Yeah.
didn't realize,
How
because
well?
it wasn't the driving force. The money wasn't the driving force. And the irony was, when you do something, the passion was just bubbling over in us. When you do something that's truly your passion and what you love doing, it's your waking breath. It's your every thought of your day. And when the accountant rang and said, yeah, we need to make this a separate company, we went, maybe we should show this a little bit more respect than we're doing, because we didn't realize that it was becoming as successful as it was. I know that sounds a really naive statement, but it is
No.
what happened.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. One of the things in a lot of my presentations, I talk about, leadership, and people talk about motivation all the time, like leaders need to motivate their team. And I say, no, I don't agree with that. I think that motivation is very personal, and it's incumbent upon us to find our own motivation. Leaders should inspire their team, and individuals need to motivate themselves. But I always say that when you do anything in life, be careful not to confuse the benefits with the motivation. Let me give you an example. Let's say that I decide that I want to start running because I want to improve my health. I want to have a lower, heart rate, and I want to have longevity. Maybe I just, maybe one of my kids just had their first kid and I'm a first time grandparent and I want to be around, so that your motivation becomes that, right? Well, then you discover that you lose weight. That's a benefit of the running. You've lost weight. But if the benefit becomes the reason you do it, the first time you get on the scale and you put on a pound, all of a sudden you become anxious. All of a sudden the joy is gone because you start chasing the benefit instead of doing it for the right reasons. In other words, you're no longer doing it for the motivation, you're doing it for the benefit. And money can be the same thing, right? You're saying, "Hey, listen, my motivation was, and one of the benefits was," and you didn't start doing it for the benefit. You continue to do it because of the motivation behind why you were doing what you're doing. And I always try to remind myself that there are a lot of benefits of doing what I do, but I don't do it for the benefits. I do it because I have this motivation where I want to share what I've learned with other people as I travel around the country, as a professional speaker, and when I'm writing the book. I want to share something that will help other people. If I make money from it, great. I need money to live, but the money's not the motivation. The money is the benefit. Does that make sense?
Of course, I think money is a very small motivator. It's a very temporary motivator. I think
Yeah.
you
See, I don't
can
see it
you
as a
can
motivator. I
get
see it as
people
a
onto your
benefit.
team by money. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can get somebody over on your team and pay them extra to come on your team, but that is a very temporary blip, because unless they truly believe in what you're doing and have the same culture and the same vision and the same focus, and that we're all facing the same way and driving towards the end goal, it's very temporary. And we were so lucky. Everything was so new and vibrant, and we had such a young team that had never done this either. And the buzz in that office, the culture and the feeling and the fun was daily, absolutely daily. Don't get me wrong, it was exhausting, utterly exhausting. To make things look easy is actually very hard, but it was so much fun.
Yeah, no, listen, I get that. When my younger son graduated from college, I said, look, you're about to enter into the real world where you're going to have very little freedom because you're going to be a new employee somewhere and you're not going to have any time off. And you're not going to have any money. And I had back to back speaking engagements booked, one in the Atlantic City on the East Coast in New Jersey and one in Las Vegas. And I said, this would be a cool trip. He had never taken a business trip with me. So I said, you know what? You're about to, you just graduated from college. So let's do a dual coast gambling. Now, I'm not a gambler, but I said, let's do a dual coast gambling tour. So, we flew to Philadelphia and the client sent a limo to pick me up, took us in a limo to Atlantic City. They put me up in the presidential suite at the hotel where I was speaking. The limo takes us back to Philadelphia. We fly cross country. I speak in Las Vegas. The client sent a car to pick me up there. And he's like, this is how you've been living? I'm like, no. Most of the time, I land at midnight. I'm schlepping my luggage to the rental car lot. I'm trying to find the hotel. I'm schlepping my luggage to the elevator. It's, it can look like something that it's not. So I get your point that, it's wonderful when you're part of a great culture, but it's hard work, right? It's a lot of hard work. And so I appreciate you sharing that. Listen, we're coming up at the end of our segment, and there's so much more I actually want to talk about, but I want to give a chance to talk about, so what's next for you? So we've got bite-sized boss, Paula Short. Your name is Short, and I've never met you face to face, but you claim that you're not, I'm over 6 feet tall, so you're not over 6 feet tall. So you claim to be of a shorter stature than me. So you did some speaking while you were over in England, and my understanding, the reason you reached out to me is because you're hoping to do what going forward while you're here in the States.
So yeah, I did speaking engagements in the UK, and I absolutely adored it, and I adored that people take from it. And when I do a speaking engagement, and people come up and say, "I have had that problem, and I didn't realize that," and they ask more questions, and they can leave with more information and motivation to go and fulfill their dream and do what they want to do. I accidentally became an entrepreneur. It wasn't a driven thing. It wasn't an ego thing. It wasn't a focus thing. I accidentally created a global business. I know that sounds really naive and ridiculous again, but it's true. It came from tenacity and hard work, I get, but the speaking engagements where you can speak to people and actually say, we're not L'Oreal. I'm a normal person. I'm a normal woman with kids and bills and houses and a dog that I miss desperately. And we created something that anybody could do this. Anybody can do this. And the tools to do it are so much easier than you think it is. Instead of thinking of something so big, you can break it down into smaller parts. So I love doing a talk and doing events where I get the chance to actually show people the possibilities that they could have, that they can do it too, because it's not easy, but it's doable. It's definitely doable.
So you successfully built 2 businesses. You have experience in sharing your knowledge from the stage. And if anyone watching this podcast says, I really like her, they may not love the West Virginia accent, but they really like you. They want to get a hold of you. How can they do it? How can they find the bite-sized boss, Paula Short?
You can visit my website, which is paulashort.com. And I'm on LinkedIn, Paula Short. And that's probably the easiest way to find me. But yeah, my website is probably the best, paulashort.com.
Well, Paula Short, I wish you luck. If there's anything I or anyone else who's a member of this multifamily media network can do to help you with your new endeavors, welcome again to America. And you moved in November, so all you've experienced so far is the Virginia winters, but you're going to absolutely love the spring. I used to live in the Virginia Beach area, and you're going to love the spring, the summer, and the fall there. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I would strongly encourage you in the fall to drive an hour and a half south, if you haven't already been, to the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Go to Duck, North Carolina, and get some duck donuts. Duck is known for their duck donuts. But you've been a joy to have on the show. I want to thank you so much for joining me. For everyone tuning in, thank you again for joining Leading Your Culture with Bill Nye. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.